we bothers me. And when it comes down to we, if we in the United States, black people, don't consider the rest of the diaspora as something that we should connect to bring ourselves out of the mental and physical slavery in the United States, then we will forever be slaves right here in that 2,000 by 3,048 state box they call the continental United States. Amen. And yeah, there's Hawaiian, there's Alaskan, Sarah Palin's hometown. And
she can see Russian.
Yeah, she can see Russian. and President Obama's birth state. So, you know, I'm saying if we don't connect ourselves to the diaspora people who feel and look and think and have a rich culture for us to take and borrow from and use for ourselves to get our perspective on how we are better people to the world than we are to the United States, then this climate is going to get worse. We're in a terrible state of denial. I don't see how anybody can actually run around with their nose and head all up in the air, the clouds, and live walking past. I mean, just being in Chicago or New York or Birmingham, Alabama, or any inner city or outer city, how could you be in denial of the statistics that say we are damned here? So I started off with that. But you know what? I'm not, like my wife is up here, and she clears me out. So don't let me get lost. But she won't let me get lost because my daughter probably would be like, Dad, you crazy.
Dr. Gay, you want to comment on that?
Say briefly before she tries to take this microphone away.
That's right.
But one thing I'd like to say right now, the end. One of the things I say most to my students these days is that in many ways, black people have never been more popular. We are the most popular people on the lockup shows on MSNBC. We are the most popular people in the prison industrial complex. We are the most popular people being made fools out of on television every single day. And this is so unfortunate because, again, as Chuck has said, we have let too much of the we turn into I. And it doesn't have to be that way. If we have one day where we refuse to be represented in that way, when we decided that we were not going to let other people represent us, but we were going to represent ourselves, we wouldn't have 95% of the problems that we have right now.
You know, I spent a lot of time thinking about our connections and looking at how music has always fueled our movement and given us direction. I mean, Chuck, you participated in the freedom songs when they released them, and you remember back in that movement, the music stirred us on, your music stirred us on. So what kind of music do we need now to reach and connect with that sense of unity and connectedness that you're talking about?
Rap music is great. Hip-hop is fantastic when it reflects the truth. When it reflects, I mean, come on. Somebody on the drive-by hustling and shooting and all that, I mean, how much of a percentage of black life is that?
Right.
Like, I mean, kissing your moms and kissing your baby and stuff like that is more reality than saying, okay, how many times can you do a drive-by? So if that's reflected in the art, and because it's not real. It's fake, it's whack. So, but once again, we have become very popular and profitable at our worst for corporations. And that might get into a long, drawn-out conversation. But, you know, no, there's other things to talk about on top of that. Just 2 weeks ago, myself, Professor Griff, Public Enemy, and my wife, Dr. Gates Teresa Johnson, and the Los Angeles Action Community Network, we put together a concert in downtown Los Angeles, the largest concentration of homeless people in the United States. 2 weeks ago, free concert. Couple thousand people were there. I called and notified 20 rap artists. They all came. They dropped one for the hood. They sang songs of unity and message along with the artists that were there in Skid Row. And not one piece of music press major music press covered it. The LA Times covered it. The so-called LA Weekly, which used to be a liberal side paper, then they was conservative. They had nothing but damning things to say about it. And this something like this should have resonated all around the world. But what? Public Enemy went down with 20 black rap groups, black and brown rap groups, to go down to the poorest, most desolate area in Los Angeles, in the country. You know, in this country, Skid Row, downtown Los Angeles, the largest concentration of homeless people, not homeless black people, although there's 95% black down there. Homeless people in the United States, second in the world to Sao Paulo, Brazil, in the favelas, right? But y'all in Chicago probably ain't never heard of it, unless you got somebody who live there, or South Central or whatever. So when we did this, you take something that rap gives back, we call it the big rap give back. You would think that this would resonate all over the map as a beginning, a seed of rap being able to really do what it does. It wants to speak up for the people. Biggest news last week, Corey Guns gets caught with guns. Like, obviously. But why is that the biggest news coming out of rap music and hip-hop, covered by Rolling Stone, covered by VH1, covered by Vlad TV? We know the reasons for all this, but when rap does great, you don't hear about it. And that's a problem. So what kind of music can move the masses today? I'm a firm believer, along with my partners, along with my family, that rap music and hip-hop continues to change the world. Because everywhere else in this world, on this planet, you can't be a rapper, hip-hop artist and not understand that you got to build the people. You got to speak for the people, build the people. And sometimes that means you got to talk against the government. We played in Santiago, Chile in July. 75,000 people marched on the government for educational reform, and that was sparked by the hip-hop movement. Now, when you talk about here in the United States of America, hip-hop has been here 35 years as a recorded form, 40 years as a cultural form, and therefore they know that the threat comes in the word, it comes in the message, it comes in the energy of the people to be able to speak about what's demanded by the people, and it should come in the music. Yeah. My reasons for a lot of things getting out of hand, I like to do, and this is what I like to see. I would like to see rap give back to Skid Row in every single city. Free concerts, but not only that, it brings the music, it brings the attention, but you got organizations, you got people who have been trying to do the same thing to try to help the people for 15, 20, 30, 40 years, and they can't even get the attention. So I'd like to have that within the next 2 years as far as an agenda. Another thing I like to do, which is a little bit more radical, is maybe tar and feather your radio programmers and your station programmers and bring them out into the town square and have them get dealt with. But I'm a family man, so but that's why I feel our family all together, we wrapped up in this, and the violation is over with. It's got to be over with. Understand, when you have free radio talking to millions of people, and you got somebody else behind that agenda, living somewhere else, spewing out whatever, treating us like whatever, and at the same time, we just going to take it because we don't know who's in charge of the radio station. You better identify people. When we identify people, you got to make it hard for them to go home, just like they're making it hard for us to live home.